Hello YouTube, welcome to the Loop Line. If you ride public transport fairly regularly, you would be familiar with the entities or companies that operate public transport, especially in your local city. Let's take Mumbai as an example. The suburban rail in Mumbai is operated by Indian Railways, with operations split between Western and Central Railway. Western Railway operates the trains from Churchgate to Virar or Dahanu Road, and Central Railway operates everything else. Metro operations in Mumbai are super complicated. Line 1 from Versova to Ghatkopar is operated by MMOPL or Mumbai Metro 1 Private Limited, and as the name suggests, this is a public private partnership between Reliance and MMRDA. Lines 2A, 2B, and 7 are operated by Maha Mumbai Metro Operation Corporation. Lastly, Line 3 is operated by Mumbai Metro Rail Corporation or MMRC, who contracted the operations to DMRC. If you think that is confusing, Thane and Navi Mumbai's metros are considered separate from all of this and are operated by Maha Metro, who also manages the metros in Pune and Nagpur. On top of all of this, Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, Thane, Kalyan Dombivli, Mira Bhayandar, and Vasai Virar all have their own bus operators. I'm not going to go through all of them, so here they are on screen. So, in a single metropolitan region, there are two suburban rail operators, three metro operators with tongue twister names, and six or seven different bus operators. Some of you may not realize what is wrong here, but to put it simply, this is the transport equivalent of Jenga. Let's say I'm a hypothetical new user to this system. If I decide to make a journey across three or four of these operators, I have to navigate the huge technical debt of an outdated and broken ticketing system that charges me in ways that are very hard to understand. This is because each agency here can choose to have their own fare structure. The suburban rail is so cheap it's practically free, best is so expensive it's cheaper to get an auto, and transfers between modes may involve time travel stunts. Here, it's even more complicated because certain agencies do collaborate and there is integrated ticketing across some of the systems. If you want to know how and why you are being charged, where your transfers are, and when you will get home in this system, you need a degree in max, urban planning, and law with a PhD in the city you are currently traveling in. In saying all of this, I should mention that Mumbai is kind of the worst example in the country. Pretty much every other city has one or two operators each for buses, metro, and suburban rail. However, this problem is not isolated to Mumbai, and every region has the issue of people needing to think extensively about what exactly they are doing while taking public transport. As a user, you have the responsibility of knowing where you can get good connections between modes and which modes are reliable in different parts of the city. For instance, nobody tells you that the suburban railway is completely useless if you're traveling purely within Kolkata city. You just have to know, and it doesn't help that the public transport directions on Google Maps are garbage. We've seen how Indian cities do it. How about abroad? The transport system with one of the best integration, in my opinion, is in Victoria. No, not that Victoria. The Australian state of Victoria, just like we've seen in India, has different operators for different transport modes. Regional rail across the state is operated by V Line, suburban rail is operated by Metro Trains Melbourne, buses are operated by a bunch of private companies shown here, and the trams are operated by Yara Trams. Here's the thing though, if you use public transport here, you don't have to know about any of them. There is a single agency that handles ticketing, fares, customer service, and timetable coordination. Transport Victoria has the power to influence operations at all the agencies I just mentioned. So, all the complex thinking that I have to do is stripped away. The only thing I need is the Transport Victoria Journey Planner. This authority is what we would call a regional transport agency or RTA. Their job is to influence operations in all the entities operating transport in a region so that the end customer has a seamless experience. And this is exactly what we see in Victoria. The fare structure is completely integrated across all public transport, and a single smart card called the Mikey is usable across most of the network. Most transfers between modes are timed, and there is clear, unified signage across all of the network that directs passengers where they need to go. As an example, this fractal pattern you see here appears on most public transport vehicles in different colors. This is what you want to see from an integrated public transport system: unified signage, branding, timetables, and customer service. However, Victoria is not the only place in the world with such a system. The neighbouring state of New South Wales has a similar system, with most routes operating in and out of Sydney coordinated by Transport for New South Wales. There are other examples as well. TfL coordinates transport in London, BVG coordinates transport in Berlin, and the MTR coordinates transport in Hong Kong. Agencies like this are fairly common around the world, and they mostly exist in countries with well developed transport networks. Coming back to India, people had the same idea you are having right now. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, or MOHUA, released this 112-page document for setting up what they call Unified Metropolitan Transport Authorities, or UMTAs. There are apparently several such agencies that are currently operational, but I'd never heard of them before I started researching this topic. This is probably because most of them have kind of been doing nothing. It's not an assumption or lack of information. As I showed with the Mumbai example, public transport there is very much a mess. The same thing holds true for most other cities, though the problems are not as bad as Mumbai. Before I proceed, I should note that there are several people who will come to Mumbai's defense here. People may rightfully point out that current travel patterns don't require people to use 3 or 4 tickets on their journeys. This may be true today, but that does not mean Mumbai doesn't require integrated ticketing. There are definitely journeys where people would consider using public transport, but then be put off by the ticketing system and quality of transfers to the point where they just drive, take a cab, or just don't travel. Public transport isn't just about getting middle aged adults to and from work. Spontaneous trips need to be as easy as possible, and integrated ticketing is essential to achieving this. People may not take such journeys today, but that's no reason to not invest in such a system. Once in place, it will pay itself off several times over. Anyway, you may recall that I said most UMTS are kind of doing nothing. That's not to say they're not trying to do anything, it's just nothing has come out of them yet. However, most does not mean all. There is one UMTA that has actually made meaningful progress in integrating public transport. CUMTA, or Chennai Unified Metropolitan Transport Authority, is a regional transport agency for the Chennai metropolitan area. This agency is fairly new, only being fully realized in 2022. The reason I say they have made meaningful progress here is because this is the first metropolitan region in the country to achieve integrated ticketing between buses, metro, and suburban rail. To see how this happened, let's get a bit of history. Back in 2016-17, the newly formed CMRL, or Chennai Metro Rail Limited, wanted to expand metro connectivity by running feeder bus service. Now, DMRC, in the same situation 10 years earlier, decided to buy and operate their own buses that connected to metro trains. In Chennai, however, CMRL contracted the local bus operator MTC to operate their feeder buses. MTC at the same time was looking to expand service into underserved areas using minibuses. CMRL agreed to pay for some of them and service was launched. For those living in Chennai, this is where the S numbered bus routes come from. A couple of years later, Southern Railway decided to embark on a project to add a fourth track to the Chennai Egmore Beach section for better timing of express trains. As part of this, MRTS services were shortened at Chintadaripet station. To help passengers, MTC again stepped in and ran feeder buses from all sorts of destinations to the MRTS to help passengers. This used to happen fairly regularly as well. Whenever suburban trains were down for maintenance, the MTC stepped in and ran extra bus service. Here we see three transport agencies that very much see the value in working together. This is helped by the fact that all three agencies hold roughly equal negotiating power. In other cities, one agency tends to dominate the scene. In Delhi, it's DMRC. In Mumbai, it's Western and Central Railway. In Bengaluru, it's BMTC. And in Hyderabad, it's TGSRTC or HMRL. Hyderabad technically has a similar situation here, but HMRL is privately owned, so collaboration is unlikely. Anyway, this unique set of circumstances with three equally powerful transport agencies that were interested in working together got supercharged when Kumta was realized in 2022. Collaborating with MTC and CMRL, they managed to pass the NCMC Smart Card, which works on buses and metro, so you don't have to carry around change anymore. Aside from being convenient, it also significantly sped up ticketing on buses. A couple years of negotiating later, the Chennai One app was launched, an integrated ticketing solution for buses, metro, and suburban rail. Now, I should mention that in the time between me writing this script and recording this voiceover, I found out that Mumbai has a similar app called Mumbai One, which was launched in October. As I will explain later, I don't think this is a full solution by any means, but it's a great step forward and a sign that there are people who recognize the issue here. I see this as a massive win because this is the first instance of Indian Railways collaborating with local transport agencies. To be clear, this app is not a perfect solution by any means. You can buy the tickets together, yes, but the fare structures are still separate, so you're still paying for the same tickets. I hope that over time, the fare structure is simplified and unified between all transport modes. Most importantly, I want to see NCMC card readers at suburban stations, allowing people to use one card for all public transport and not have to pull out their phone every time. This is obviously huge, but the best thing to come out of Kumta, in my opinion, is the 2025-2048 Comprehensive Urban Mobility Plan. It's not like no other city has plans like this, but this is on another level compared to the commitment I've seen from other places. This and the cooperation from GCC, Southern Railway, MTC, CMRL, and CMDA makes this plan uniquely effective. They are planning to spend a lot of money, yes, but the benefits will far outweigh the costs. When this and the associated recommendations are implemented, you will never have to step in a car or auto to get around here. That should be a basic level of infrastructure guaranteed everywhere, but reaching this level from what we have today is night and day. This level of forward level planning is why Chennai won two awards at the Urban Mobility Conference in Gurugram. First, overall public transport was won by the MTC. However, the more interesting one is for the best multimodal integration, which was awarded to CMRL. These two awards combined tell everything I've just told you about Chennai. Transport agencies that are very cooperative and choose to grow their networks together for the sake of their users. This is what you want to see from a functioning public transport network. If you've watched Not Just Bikes, this will sound familiar to you, but I'm going to say it anyway. Most people don't care about how they travel. They just want to get from somewhere to some other where reasonably quickly and efficiently. That does not mean that every street in a city needs a metro station. It means that different transport modes need to cooperate to create a truly great system. Because different modes have different strengths and weaknesses, this is the only way to achieve a truly great public transport network. People hail the Delhi metro as being amazing, but once you leave DMRC here, you are stranded. The only reason they've been able to offer integrated ticketing is because they basically swallowed everything else. They operate their own network of feeder buses and also the Noida and Gurugram metro systems. This creates your typical mess because DTC or Delhi Transport Corporation also operates buses independently across the region. This also doesn't count the several state bus operators that run buses to various ISBTs across the city. In my last video, I proposed forming an RTA or regional transport agency for Bengaluru. To cut some slack for them, I should acknowledge that setting up such an agency here is very difficult, if not impossible, owing to the state borders present quite close to the city. Any UMTA for Bengaluru has to incorporate Hosur, which makes this politically very difficult. If you're a Chennaiite watching this, hopefully this encourages you to try the bus sometime instead of defaulting to always booking an auto. If you're not from Chennai, just make noise and be annoying. Complaining is the only way to get stuff fixed. Complaining doesn't guarantee that things will get better, but not complaining guarantees that things will get worse. Hopefully that's obvious. Despite winning awards here, Chennai's public transport is nowhere close to perfect, and there are still many problems with the system. What these awards say is that this is the best India can do. There is no city that can do better than this, and that makes me angry. Being able to get around quickly and efficiently without having to spend six figures on a motor vehicle should be a fundamental right, and yet, here we are giving awards to cities that have partially fixed this problem. There is a lot more work left to be done, and complaining is the only way to make it work. I generally stick to railways on this channel, but since public transport, railways, and urbanism are so tightly linked together, expect the occasional side tangent. We shall return to railway themed content next time. That's it from me today. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next loop line.
യാത്രക്കാരുടെ ശ്രദ്ധയ്ക്ക് ട്രെയിൻ നമ്പർ 177230. സെക്കൻഡറാബാദ് തിരുവനന്തപുരം ശബരി എക്സ്പ്രസ് രണ്ടാമത്തെ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിലേക്ക് അല്പസമയത്തിനുള്ളിൽ എത്തിച്ചേരുന്നതാണ്.